Fame tells you a lie. It says if enough people know your name, you will never feel alone. If enough people applaud, you will never doubt yourself. If enough money follows you, nothing will ever be missing. But fame never tells you what happens when the lights go out. This story isn't about celebrities who found religion. It's about people who lost protection the moment they chose Jesus openly. Because faith doesn't just add something to fame. Sometimes it takes everything away. Why faith is a career risk. In entertainment, there are unspoken rules. Be spiritual, but not specific. Believe privately, not publicly. Never claim truth, only perspective. Jesus breaks all three. Mentioning him publicly risks being labeled unstable, losing endorsements, becoming difficult, being quietly sidelined. Faith doesn't get you canceled loudly. It gets you ignored silently. And that's the danger. Number 1. Kanye West, power to surrender. At his peak, Kanye West had absolute control. Music, fashion, culture. Then he did something unprecedented. He stopped performing his biggest hits. He replaced profanity with worship. He centered Jesus, not ego. What Kanye risked: billions in brand value, industry credibility, fan loyalty, media protection. Jesus is King wasn't just an album. It was Kanye stepping off the throne, mocked as unstable, questioned as fake, dropped by powerful partners. But Kanye wasn't trying to be understood. He was trying to be obedient. And obedience costs power. Number 2, Denzel Washington, faith without flinching. Denzel never had to speak about God. He already had respect. That's what makes his faith dangerous. Because he didn't use it to rebuild a broken image. He risked a perfect one. He speaks about prayer openly, credits God without embarrassment, encourages faith publicly. What Denzel risked: being labeled outdated, losing elite roles, being excluded from modern narratives. But Denzel chose consistency over trend. He didn't chase applause. He chose reverence. Number 3, Justin Bieber, fame didn't save him. Justin Bieber had everything by 21. And nothing inside. Burnout, depression, identity collapse. Faith wasn't a PR strategy. It arrived when nothing else worked. He stepped away, admitted weakness, spoke about Jesus without polish. What Justin risked: his bad boy image, cultural relevance, industry momentum. Faith didn't make him flawless. It made him honest. And honesty is risky in celebrity culture. Number 4, Chris Pratt, faith in the open. Chris Pratt didn't whisper his belief. He prayed on award stages, thanked Jesus publicly, refused to walk it back. What Chris risked: Hollywood backlash, political labeling, career slowdown. He didn't argue critics. He didn't explain himself. He stood. And standing still is an act of rebellion in a culture that demands retreat. Number 5, Carrie Underwood, quiet conviction. Carrie Underwood never turned faith into controversy. She simply refused to remove it. She sings worship privately, credits God consistently, refuses to dilute belief. What Carrie risked: radio play, industry favor, pop crossover safety. Her faith didn't scream. It endured. Number 6, Mark Wahlberg, the cost of repentance. Mark Wahlberg carries a past he cannot erase. Faith didn't excuse it. It confronted it. He speaks about repentance openly, prays publicly, accepts criticism without defense. What Mark risked: reputation repair narratives, Hollywood comfort, being forgiven by culture. Faith didn't make him clean. It made him accountable. Number 7, Mel Gibson, faith after fall. Mel Gibson's faith didn't protect him. It isolated him. After The Passion of the Christ, Hollywood didn't celebrate faith. It distanced itself from it. What Mel risked: studio trust, industry relationships, career longevity. Faith didn't save his image. It exposed him. Number 8, Patti LaBelle and Viola Davis, faith without performance. These women didn't market belief. They lived it. They prayed offstage, thanked God openly, never rebranded faith as trend. What they risked: being labeled old school, losing relevance, cultural dismissal. But faith didn't age them. It anchored them. Number 9. Tim Tebow, when faith cost him the game. Tim Tebow didn't lose his career because he couldn't play football. He lost it because he refused to be quiet. From the beginning, Tebow made one decision the sports world never forgave. He put Jesus before performance. He prayed on the field. He knelt in public. He spoke about Christ without irony, apology, or editing. And for a while, it worked. He won. He led comebacks. He filled stadiums. He became one of the most recognizable athletes in America. But something else happened. The more visible his faith became, the more uncomfortable the system grew. Because Tebow wasn't just religious. He was unfiltered. What Tim Tebow risked? Endorsements that quietly disappeared. Locker room acceptance. Long-term NFL security. Media protection. Analysts didn't attack his belief directly. They attacked his mechanics, his throwing style, his fit. But the criticism didn't match the results. He won games. Still, doors closed. Because Tebow didn't separate faith from identity. And in elite sports, identity must always be negotiable. When his NFL career ended abruptly, Tebow didn't spiral. He redirected. Mission work. Human trafficking advocacy. Faith-based philanthropy. The world expected regret. Instead, Tebow showed peace. Because when faith is real, losing the spotlight doesn't feel like loss. It feels like release. Number 10. Steph Curry, faith that never left the spotlight. Steph Curry did what no one expected. He didn't dim his faith to stay loved. He carried it with him into championships, endorsements, and global fame. On his shoes, I can do all things. On his interviews, thanking God first. On the court, praying openly. And yet, Steph remained untouchable, which made his faith even more disruptive. Because the narrative said, if you talk about Jesus openly, success will leave you. Steph disproved that lie. But success came with pressure. Because once you're successful and faithful, people expect silence. They expect moderation. They expect soft language. Steph never complied. What Steph Curry risked? Brand discomfort, political backlash, cultural criticism, being labeled too safe or too religious. He never argued, never defended, never explained. He just kept playing. Faith didn't make Steph louder. It made him steadier. And steadiness, in a world built on outrage, is revolutionary. Steph's faith isn't performative. It's repetitive, consistent, quietly immovable, which is why it lasts. Number 11. Kirk Cousins, the most unpopular kind of faith. Kirk Cousins doesn't look like a rebel. That's what makes his faith dangerous. He's polite, measured, traditional. And in modern sports culture, that's suspicious. Kirk speaks about God as truth, not metaphor. Not inspiration. Not symbolism. Truth. He talks about marriage, commitment, responsibility, faith as obedience. And that made him a problem. Not because he was offensive, but because he refused to evolve. What Kirk Cousins risked: media admiration, cultural approval, narrative control, being relatable. Kirk became a target of mockery. Too boring, too rigid, too outdated. But Kirk never reshaped himself to be liked. He reshaped his priorities. He chose faith over image, family over flexibility, conviction over applause. And when critics laughed, he didn't clap back. He stayed still. Stillness in a world demanding constant reinvention is a form of resistance. They prayed on camera. They refused to mute belief. What they risked: media ridicule, sponsorship discomfort, public mockery. Faith didn't make them unbeatable. It made them unashamed. Why this still matters? In celebrity culture, belief is allowed only if it's vague, it's flexible, it's quiet. Jesus is none of those. Faith demands truth. Truth demands courage. Courage costs access. These celebrities weren't chasing sainthood. They chose conviction over comfort. The real risk wasn't losing fame. It was discovering that fame couldn't save them. They didn't follow Jesus to be admired. they followed him when admiration disappeared. And that is why their stories matter. Not because they are famous, but because they are human. Celebrities Style 247, where faith meets fame and history becomes human.